Move this out of the way.
Okay, I should, yeah.
Hold on. Yeah. We'll be with you guys in just a second. There's a mirror that it's kind of
In the way.
Yeah.
There we go. That's better. It's moved.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, now we've got something else.
That's the...
Did you test this before you... We do this every time. One of these days you're actually going to test the equipment before we actually start this live stream.
I am Lur, ruler of the planet Omicron Persei I-8. Is this thing on?
It is now.
Alright.
Alright, hopefully we haven't scared everybody off with your Lur impression.
Yeah.
Lur is very loud.
Lur is very loud.
It's kind of his thing. How's everybody doing this evening?
Oh, everyone seems to be doing okay. Cheryl says, hey everyone, am I supposed to be able to get here through the Patreon page?
You have to click the button and then it'll say watch on YouTube, and then you click on that and it takes you here to the stream. Because I think if you're watching, I mean, I've never been on the other end of this, but maybe somebody else could help elucidate us a bit.
Ah, good to see you too, LS. Thanks for dropping by. Hello, Elisa!
Hello!
The YouTube button kept failing.
Oh no.
Oh. That might be something with Patreon. Don't know, they've had all kinds of stuff going on.
Well, I can always just do another direct link next time.
Yeah.
So we'll figure it out. I'll keep experimenting until we find something that works.
Yes, indeedy. Okay, Barbara. Hello, Barbara.
Hello.
Tammy and Erin. Hello, Erin and Lorraine.
We're having our romper room moment again. I think this is going to be a recurring theme.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes. And another Lorraine. We've got two Lorraines.
Yay.
Hello, Lorraine and
Hello,
Wendy
Lorraine,
and Stacy.
thank you.
I'm sitting here waiting for UPS to drop off my Bordeaux. That's a good situation to be in, Liz. Cheers.
Yes. And right now, me and some of the moderators are kind of experimenting with ways to like work with the hairline and stuff like that. So I'll try to make some styling videos for that too, to make her a little bit more fun to play with. Because my goal was to make them inexpensive so they would be fun to play with. And there's a reason why I made those in a heat-friendly fiber. You might have noticed, by the way, that this wig is a little bit shiny today, and that's because this is a non-heat friendly prototype. So while we're waiting for some folks to join us, I'll let you know what I'm wearing. This is a prototype of something we're expecting to arrive in March, and this is actually like the beta. It wasn't the one we ended up running with. So this is actually, it doesn't fit me right. It's actually a little bit too big. You know, it probably has about 3 too many wefts here in the back, so the crown isn't sitting in the right place. But I wore this anyway because, you know, I know a lot of people have smaller builds than me, and they might be curious to know what this particular wig would look like on them. So this might actually give them a good approximation, Nigel, of like what an average size version of this would look like on somebody smaller, you know?
So Erin asks, is that Poppy?
This is not Poppy. This is Anya. This is a non-heat friendly wig, and the color is Tahitian Sunset in the non-heat friendly version of that fiber. So that's why it's a little bit shiny compared to the other wigs that I've been releasing. This one also has a much more deluxe cap. So even though the cap doesn't fit me right, I'd like to show you a little bit about what it looks like, because we're getting these made in the same, at one of the same factories that also makes wigs for a lot of other major suppliers, such as like Paula Young and stuff like that. So I mean, it's got a really nice felt here on the front hairline. It does have permatease, and I've actually upgraded the cap, so even the approved version is going to have a little bit of this going on, where it has felt here on the ear tabs, and that it has an extended nape with, you guessed it, delicious Velcro magic adjusters. And it's going to be quite stretchy. But this particular wig is just too big on me right now. But the layers are really cute. It's going to be very similar to Poppy. And Poppy, as you might know, is kind of like, you know, a very, very, very no frills version of a style, kind of like Parker by John Bruno. Because Parker's definitely an upgrade from what our Poppy will be, because Parker's got a really nice lace front, and it's also got a monofilament side part, whereas our Poppy wig will have the same haircut, but it will not have those features. It's much more basic of a cap. And this one, similarly, this Anya, is a very similar length. It's just got a slightly different curl pattern. It's got a little bit more layering, particularly on the sides. And if I were going to say that this were similar to any other style that we carry, the the style that we were going for was something like our Isabella Mono SF by Belle Madame. So not quite the same as Poppy, not quite the same as Parker, but very, very close with just slightly more layering and a little bit of a bigger curl. It's not quite as sloppy and deconstructed. You can kind of see what I'm talking about with those hints of the big curls down here at the bottom. And we're making them, of course, in our colors. And there is going to be a little bit of permatease, but it's going to be a little bit more, like it's going to be an upgrade from what we're doing in the heat-friendly wigs. That's kind of what I'm going for here. I want these to essentially be the most comfortable wigs that you can buy at this price point.
Well, you're getting a lot of text support.
Yay! Yeah. Hooray! And I also had them steam this a little bit off the face. Of course, if it fit properly, it would probably be seated a lot better. But I'm very excited, and I think it looks really cute in this red color.
To answer your question, Carla, yes, there is a gray in the works, but it hasn't come through yet. So
yeah, we're actually working on multiple grays, including kind of like a super high fashion gray that will have pastel colors sort of swirled throughout. And that one's going to be called Mermaid Kisses. Mermaid Kisses is going to have lots and lots of beautiful pastel colored highlights on top of a beautiful medium gray color. So very excited about that one. But yeah, we're also developing several other ashy toned colors, including an ash brown that we're going to call Shimmerwood. That is a light ash brown that doesn't have a whole lot of gold in it.
Getting lots of support there. Oh, yes.
All right. Yeah, people say we want ashy colors. I'm like, I can do that. People are like, we want more reds. I'm like, yeah, I got you. So
Kathleen Ryan has joined the conversation.
Hi, Kathleen.
Just in time for a red.
Yeah, this is Tahitian Sunset in the non-heat friendly fiber. I keep playing with it and the whole thing wants to go like this. Because it's a little bit too big. The thing is, like, I wanted to make the perimeter a little bit more accommodating, so they just made me a large cap wig. This is why I can't wear large cap wigs. Like, I could shove a baseball up under here, I think. But again, I think that's a really good analogy for folks who have like kind of a petite frame who wear the average size wig. They have that experience all the time.
Oh, hello, Shaz. Shaz the Cornish Pixie is in with us. Hey, nice.
Hello.
Chilly Cornwall. Oh man, I can imagine. I can imagine. Yeah.
What is the temperature and?
I don't know. Shaz, what is the temperature in Cornwall at the moment?
We're having a very English conversation right now. We're asking you about the weather.
It's all them atom bombs that are being set off. They're changing the weather patterns. Let's see. Okay.
I can't read that from
Okay,
here, so.
I couldn't remember the name Mermaid Kisses and told my husband it was Unicorn Snot Swirl.
That's so good. And ew, but yay.
Kathleen is loving that one.
Thank you. If it's got the Kathleen seal of approval, I know it's a good red. So.
Let's see. Tammy says, love seeing your latest creations.
Thank you.
Nancy McQueen says, do you ship to Canada? If not, is there anything I could do to convince you to do that?
Amazon. We're offering it through Amazon, and there's probably going to be about a month delay from when stuff arrives at Sister Wigs website proper to when it goes on Amazon. But we actually started to carry these things on Amazon, and we're still kind of considering Etsy too, because they get really good shipping rates. Really good shipping rates, and we can actually outsource the returns and all of that stuff. So it's a nice way to add another sales channel for us, and it opens us up to international customers in a way where they can actually save money doing it, because one of the primary reasons why we had to discontinue international service directly was because we don't do it often enough to get good shipping rates for it. So we were actually in a position where we were kind of losing money every time we were shipping something out, and then when we actually tried to charge people the rate, they'd be like, whoa, that's ridiculous, because it was. And that's because we weren't getting good shipping rates due to the lack of volume internationally. So Amazon, I know I'm being boring now, but Amazon was a good way to kind of circumnavigate that issue, because they've got logistics.
No, it's good information. And Silver Streak says, would you consider this what they call an Irish red?
Oh, for sure. Totally. Yeah, that was the intention. It just doesn't have a lot of blonde in it. It's kind of like the way I like to think of Tahitian Sunset is something like Tonia Beverly's Sunset Red if you took the gold blonde out of it. So it's very similar to that color, and things like the lighter red from envy. But one of the things that always threw me off when I first started wearing wigs was when I would buy reds and they wouldn't look really highlighted in the product images or the swatches, and then I would get them home and they'd be like really, really gold blonde on top. Sometimes you just want a really nice Irish red, so I was like, right, I'm gonna make one that doesn't have the gold in it.
Maureen O'Hara and the Quiet Man.
Oh gosh, she's so beautiful. I love her. I love any part she played where she played the feisty Irish woman, which was basically every role she played. So yeah, fantastic.
It's mandatory, I think.
That she has to play the feisty Irish woman.
Well, no, every time you have a redhead, you have to put feisty in front of it. It is law, or fiery, or something like that.
Or they do step dancing.
Michael Flatley, I blame you for that.
It's cool looking though.
Oh, it is.
All right. Well, I think that we've stalled enough. If people would like to talk about beauty stuff.
Okay. Well, Gail, just before we get into that, Gail says, "Love my new Felix. OMG, all the compliments I get." Jerry would like to see you develop a girl mono look-alike.
Haha.
Let's see. Oh, Serene's in here. Oh, hello, Serene.
Hi, Serene.
Okay.
All right.
Billy Fox says, "Yes, I'm usually nicknamed Feisty." I know what I'm talking about. I know words. So.
Yeah. I think also that's just kind of like an Irish people thing in general, because I want to mention that Mary Beth, I don't know if she's in here with us, but I told her that I would give her a shout out tonight, because Mary Beth, who works at our headquarters, she bought me this for Christmas, and it's like a Chanel button that somebody has repurposed and made a necklace out of. That's so cool. It's so cool. And I bought it, or had her, I selected this one. She bought it and got it for me for Christmas, but I selected this one because it had a little globe on it and it made me think of Nigel. But if you look at it really closely, England's not on it. I think that's some shade that Chanel threw at England. That is my theory.
Well, well, see, the thing is, if you look really close at that, there's a big gap taken out of Africa.
You know, if people were just joining us now, they would think that you're staring very intensely at my clavicle.
Well, there's a big gap taken out of Africa, and all of Europe is sort of smushed up into Russia there.
This person does not know geography very well. Like,
hello,
look,
Rona.
Africa's got this big sea in the middle of it. Magical.
Yes.
But the thing is, it's still really cool, and I love the fact that this is like upcycling a random button. So it's like giving people a little taste of something that's really luxe while not being super expensive. So I think this was a really beautiful gift, and it was a nice gesture. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and show how cool this is. So thank you, Mary Beth.
Michelle says, "Hello, just got new Bardot and bubblegum pop. Can't wait to try it." Cheryl says, "I wore my Felix out and got more compliments than when I was a sweet young thing."
Yes, I love that.
Jerry says, "Sounds like you know redheads. I know a lot of people." And I know the way people generally use words to influence thought patterns and all that sort of thing.
Well, plus, I think there's something valid about that association, too. So some stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason. I think that most of the redheads I've met in my life have been very quick-witted. They're fun. And yeah, they're feisty.
You talking to a Wessex man with a bunch of rum in his hand.
Ooh are.
Proper job.
Ooh are. Oh God, you've got me doing Wurzel's bits in the middle of live streams. All right.
Excellent.
So let's talk about beauty standards. I was thinking about like where could we actually start this conversation? And I thought there were a few different directions we could maybe go. And if you guys have any ideas, we'll just, put those in the mix too. So, for example, like, what are your thoughts on, how beauty has affected you? Like, standards of beauty, other people's opinions of what you should look like that sort of thing. Like, is that something that you find is encouraging, inspiring? Like, not everybody has the same experience. Some people have really good people in their corner who can be very encouraging and inspiring about that stuff. Or was it something where you felt like you were being, like, put upon to try to fit into a box that you felt like you weren't really, like, meant to fit into? Or are, any of the shades in between here and there something that is more akin to your experience? And while you guys type with Nigel about that, and just know we'll probably share some of these in a moment, I'll just riff a little bit on the subject while you guys have a moment or two to chime in here. So, for me, I mean, I'm benefiting from some stuff, obviously. Like, I feel like the heart-shaped face is very compatible with a lot of different hairstyles and stuff. I'm kind of tall-ish. I feel like I could have done worse. So genetically, I could have done worse. But sometimes I do think that, losing your hair, that's kind of one of those things where it's like you fit into, you don't quite fit in, and then you have to like do things like adopt different lifestyle habits, like wearing wigs or trying toppers or something like that to try to blend in a little bit better. And so that way when you are showcasing yourself to people, like, at least this is my opinion of it, that like if I'm choosing to wear this hair, I'm essentially choosing, like, this is how I want to present myself to the world. This is what I would like people to know about me, that I like red hair and short little quirky curly styles and that sort of thing. Like, I think it makes a statement without saying a word, and that statement isn't, hi, I have an illness that took my hair away from me. It's like I'm taking power back in that situation, and it's almost as if I'm exerting that through the hair and through my clothing choices and stuff like that. And I say that even though Nigel and I are both wearing like regular
pajamas.
We're wearing pajama pants, like fuzzy pajama pants. Mine have constellations on them.
Mine's a sort of blue tartan.
His are plaid. So we're business on top and casual as can be on the bottoms. Hooray. But yeah, like I think that in and of itself is almost like a statement. Like, you guys can't see us on camera, so I'm wearing fuzzy stuff. It's cold out, And I think that being comfortable can be beautiful. I am rambling at this point. Let's see what other people have to say on the matter.
Okay, Liz says, beauty was one of my best features, but it interfered with me being taken seriously sometimes as a woman in academia.
I could see that.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Christine McGraw says, as a middle-aged woman in Virginia, I'm expected to look like a golden girl, but I want to dress like Ramona Flowers.
Heck yeah.
Cheryl White says, yes, I felt out of place marching to a different drummer, but too shy to do anything to be free. Yeah, I know. The pressures to conform, they're just ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. And at varying times in your life, it's probably going to be worse over than others, but it seems like it's always there.
Oh, it's always there. When I was a kid growing up, I was expected to like sports and not be a nerd, and by my peers.
Don't be this thing you are.
Right.
Stop doing that.
Yes, stop being you.
But be yourself.
Yes. We love you for who you are. Now do everything we tell you to.
That's right. We love you for who you are.
Or we'll ostracize you.
We love you for who you are as long as you try to be somebody completely different than yourself. And go.
Serene says, I'm pretty independent. Bet you couldn't have guessed that about me. But the fat phobia is a little awful. I also get but she has such a pretty face.
Oh, God, that's the worst. I mean, I guess that's not the worst. What's worse is when they tell you you have a great personality and a wonderful sense of humor. Oh, she's just so nice. Like, you don't know until you're a big girl how somebody calling you nice and telling you have a nice personality is kind of a slam. Like, oh, cool. Well, thanks.
Nancy McQueen says, oh God, where do I start with beauty standards? Now that I'm 71 and mobility challenged, I have more freedom than I ever had. By the way, I look like a pissed off trout and quite accepting of it. As long as you're a friendly pissed off trout.
And funny. That's excellent.
And funny.
That's right. Because for some reason, I don't know why, but in my head, I envisioned one of those singing trouts, but one that had googly eyes, and somebody used like pipe. I have too vivid of an imagination, I think. That had like pipe cleaners as like downward facing eyebrows, like angry trout. Now he's gonna sing you a song. What did you put in this drink, Nigel?
Ginger liqueur. It's not entirely ginger liqueur. It's a bit of ginger liqueur in the bottom, a couple fingers of that, and some lemon, ginger, and echinacea fruit juice mix, and then diluted with water.
Yeah, I know I'm in trouble because as this keeps going on, the volume of my voice just keeps going up and up.
Carla Davis says, age is a difficult part of beauty. I have Green Bay Packers shoulders, and when I was young it was glamour, but now I'm old and that's all anyone sees. Yeah.
That's something that perplexes me too, is why it's such a crime to get older. You know, it's hard for society to be like, hey, women, why are you so insecure? Just love yourself, but don't age a day past 30 or else you're not trying hard enough.
And we're just going to leave you by the roadside.
Oh gosh, that happens after 25 in some cases.
Yeah, Susan Walker says it's competitive for women to remain youthful looking.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, because why would that be the gold standard? You know?
J. Deb says I had people not thinking I was effective at my job because I was losing my hair. That's just not fair.
That doesn't make sense at all. Like, what would that have to do with your ability on the job? People who think like that don't make any sense.
Yeah. Dorothy, no, we're not showing any particular wigs today. Heather just put on this prototype for a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Give you an idea what's coming. But mostly this is just a discussion about beauty standards and
we're going to talk about hair and stuff too. But I mean, I'm not going to be showcasing any wigs in this live stream. I wanted to kind of break things up a little bit since the last two streams were about hair color specifically.
Liz says that's interesting to me. The wigs say I'm not ready to look old. Silver Streak says love the PJs. Awesome. Shaz says, but Heather, you look stunning with any hair shade or style, but it's fun to change it up whenever the mood takes. Yes, that's very true.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't, you know, I'm not like super hung up on this. Obviously, I'm showing it to people on camera, and I take pictures of myself and put them online where I'm like this. So I don't get really like weirded out by people seeing me without my hair. The problem is other people get weirded out when they see me without my hair. Like, they get uncomfortable because it's something they're not accustomed to. And then you could see their minds start racing where they're trying to figure out how they're supposed to talk to you. Do you have cancer? Do you have some kind of crazy illness? What could have possibly happened?
Didn't you get accosted once at a restaurant?
Oh, goodness gracious. Some random guy, like, okay. This is kind of a weird story, but
it's going back a few years.
Yeah, no, this was like over 10 years ago, back when I lived in Ohio, because things in Ohio have gotten really weirdly political, like in an intense fashion, because I think they get kind of flooded with propaganda because they're a swing state. Because I noticed when I moved to Georgia, that stopped happening. Who knows, next election it might start happening because we went blue this year, but we'll see how it goes. But anyway, like, when I lived in Ohio, I was at a Mexican restaurant with a friend of mine, and we were just talking about some stuff, and I had my head completely shaved. I didn't even have this stubble at the time, because it was hot, and I figured whatever, and I used to be really open about this. So while I was sitting there, bald, eating some taquitos or whatever, you know, I think I got like a quesadilla or something, this old dude came over to our table and he put his hands on the table really aggressively, and he basically just told me that I'm what's wrong with this country, and he laid into me with this tirade of assumptions about me based on the fact that my head was bald, and they were all like really intense assumptions that had literally nothing to do with what we were talking about. And I was like, right, I gotta get some hair because I don't want to ever go through this ever again, where somebody's just randomly gonna pick on me because they're making assumptions on me that are really out there based on the fact that I am a bald person.
Was he the one that accused you of being a neo-Nazi, or was that
No,
another
no.
That was another bunch of people.
No, and I don't want to dwell on this topic too much because
fair
it's
enough.
painful, honey.
Of course, my sweet.
But that's part of the reason why I can totally understand why people would want to wear wigs in a way that maybe doesn't have so much to do with beauty standards, but is something to do with cultural norms and the assumptions people make based on those norms. But yeah, let's not dwell on stuff that's traumatic to me.
All right. Cheryl White says plaid with flowers. Ha.
Yeah, he's the master of clashing at the moment. It's pretty spectacular. Did you stand up? So
Well, I wasn't intended to be seen from the waist down here, you know.
You can't get away with that. Maybe you should like show them back there or something. It's pretty magnificent. Behold
the Herb Tarlek look for all you fans of WKRP.
Thank you.
Right, okay. So, where was I? Oh, this got moved down.
All right, let's see what other people are saying.
I gotta find where it was. Oh boy, where are you?
Oh, he got a little bit lost in the moment there.
No, so this got moved.
All right. Well, while he's trying to find a place, I think I should probably try to find something a little bit more positive to talk about relationship to this topic, and that is that.
Right, found it.
You know, I do think that it is something that's really powerful to be able to wear wigs and pick your clothing and accessorize and kind of adorn yourself, because again, it's almost like you're taking that and crafting almost like an idealized version of yourself based upon how you can mold your appearance. And it's a nice thing to be able to do, as long as, you know, I believe it's almost always healthy as long as you're doing it for you, you know? And there's nothing wrong at the end of the day with doing it for like your husband or somebody you care about too, as long as it's also for you, right? Like if you're doing it to make them happy and it makes you happy, I'm super supportive of all of that.
Yeah.
And I'm also supportive of people who want to do the plastic surgery bit, because, you know, I'm thinking about getting my bingo wings removed at some point. You know, I'm also a dabbler when it comes to, like, I've had some lip filler in here because my lips deflated, and now they look like they did when I was 16, which makes me pretty stoked. But, you know, I did that for me. He didn't really care either way because he was cool with it no matter what I did.
Yeah, well, I loved you from when you were 19, so.
I love you too, honey. And I also know that you would look out for me. And
Yes.
if I were trying to do something that would destroy my visage,
Yeah.
you would tell me not to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I wouldn't do it if you told me that you thought it was a bad idea.
Yeah.
So, let's see what other people are
Right.
saying.
Jerry Scott says, I'm extremely busty and people often assume that I'm
Aw.
a bimbo slut.
That's not right.
People are stupid. Yes. Let's see. Tammy Dial Gray says, I'm disabled and fat. I get a lot of judgment. Oh, yeah, I can imagine that. I was, when, back in 2011, when my arthritis was so bad before they could do anything, before they figured to do anything about it and get me on the medication I'm on now that lets me move around better and brings the swelling down, I was walking around with a cane for a while, and, you know, overweight, so people would look at me like, ugh, look at him, he let himself go so much. No, it was the arthritis, for
So
Pete's
it's probably
sake.
the other way around, because
Yeah.
you couldn't move around much. You probably put on weight.
Yes.
See, that's so cruel that people just make those assumptions, because being overweight should not make people feel entitled to make those kinds of judgments
Yeah.
about people. Like, it is not a morality problem.
No.
You know, it is not some kind of moral failing
No.
that people gain weight. In my case, I have polycystic ovary syndrome, and I really, really, really like bread and sugar, or at least I did before I had my surgery, and those things became difficult to eat. But, you know, with those powers combined, I got to be almost 300 pounds. So, you know, I don't think that was a moral failing. I had a biological drive to want to eat. And that becomes kind of a vicious cycle, because then you get to a point where anytime you move, you hurt yourself. Right now, I'm still going through physical therapy for cartilage damage that's in my knee, and arthritis in my ankles that is directly related to the fact that I was obese for so long. And it definitely made mobility a problem when I was still big. So, you know, all of those extra hurdles, like physical impairments and mobility problems and hormonal issues and this, that, and the other, like, those things all have a part to play in people's weight, and a lot of that stuff is out of people's control. They do have control over, you know, the addictive behavioral component, as long as they can recognize that it's there to try to, you know, figure out a solution to that issue. But it's a constant struggle, and I think people who don't have to experience that are very quick to downplay how hard that is.
Yeah, people are very quick to judge full stop, I think,
Yeah,
these days.
definitely.
Kay Schaffer says, hi Nigel and Heather. This is such a pretty style and color. Can't wait to see all the fun stuff you have in store for us. We got stuff coming. Not necessarily in this broadcast, but soon.
Yes.
Cheryl White says, I grew up in West Texas. Say no more. Nisi says, I always had issues with being a little overweight. Never looked like the picture perfect women on TV or the magazine. Always felt like I was not good enough. Yep, I hear that a lot. And it's all bullshit.
It's like, you just cussed.
This
Good
is-
thing
well,
this is
that-
Sister Wigs After Dark.
This is Sister Wigs After Dark.
Is it smooth, honey?
It's smooth.
Yay!
Let's see. Serene says, be yourself as long as it's also the thing we want you to be. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Nancy McQueen says, but I do have a great personality. Well, we wouldn't like you if you didn't.
That's right.
Shelly F says, apologies for being late. Heather, your wig is great. What is it?
Thank
What's
you.
this gorgeous color? It is a prototype of Anya in Tahitian Sunset.
Yes, non-heat friendly version. And
So-
it's similar to the Isabella Mono SF by Belmadame.
Elisa says, I was always overweight and that always made me feel ugly. Feel not ugly, but not beautiful. I know what you mean. Yeah, I know. I know exactly what you mean there,
I think
Elisa.
it's because the standard's so silly. Like, I think that people prize things that are rare and hard to do, you know, just like as a natural habit. So I think that that's why cultural standards are what they are in different places across the globe. Whatever is difficult to accomplish, like if you're in a place where everybody's starving, the big people are sexy because they're doing something nobody else can do.
Well, you say that. Wendy James says in the 1950s, curvy Marilyn was it. Then in the 1960s, Twiggy was the girl.
Yeah.
Love Wendy.
It's just like a radical fluctuation. And
I know.
bodies shouldn't be trendy.
No.
Are male bodies ever subjected to trends?
Well, remember that? Remember a while back they said dad bods were the in thing, but that was mostly propagated by people who had dad bods, I think.
The thing is, I think people have a wider range of acceptable standards for what they're willing to accept from men, which is why we're only classifying guys as fit or dad bod or large and in charge, you know. And there's variation there. I mean, obviously women's bodies vary more because, you know, we have more curves and more estrogen and all that stuff. But I mean, men are not told, you know, hey, every other year you're going to have to greatly modify your body to fit some whimsical new standard that is going to change again in about another 2-3 years.
Yeah. Kathleen Ryan says, I never cared what people thought. I've always been on the outside looking in.
Yes.
Feel that for you. Yeah, definitely. Barbara Waite says, I'm shocked every time I look in the mirror. I expect to see the face I had 20 years ago. Who is that old broad in my bathroom? My mother says the same thing. Her name is also Barbara. But yeah.
And your mom has aged very well.
Oh yeah, she has. She has.
Yeah, isn't she going to be like 90?
She's what's this year? It's
2021. Oh my God.
She's going to be 89 this year.
89.
And she's still got salt and pepper in her hair.
Yeah.
But yeah, but she thinks that as well. So you're not alone. You're not alone there. Elisa says, "What's funny is I always see beauty in others, just harder to see it in myself." Well, if you've been picked on and put down your whole life, that's no wonder.
Yeah.
Trust me. I understand. I sympathize.
Yeah. No,
yes.
I think anytime somebody stands out a little bit too much,
Yeah.
they're basically a target for that kind of stuff.
Silver Streak says, I got my first senior discount. I was not happy.
It's not quite as thrilling as when you can buy alcohol for the first time when you turn 21, I'm sure.
Serene says, it's also interesting how beauty standards change over the years and centuries.
Yes, definitely.
Rona says, I'll be 56 next week and I love it. Just be you. Right?
I love that too. I've heard also, because I used to, I mean, I'm one of those people where I've always been able to make friends with people who were younger than me or older than me. And I remember, you know, I used to, when I was in Girl Scouts, I would volunteer at nursing homes. And even when I used to work in churches for a really long time. And I met this lovely lady who was in her 90s, who was named Marie, who was like my #1 biggest fan. She came to every single one of my recitals and she would, you know, hang out with me. And she was just the sweetest thing. And side note, one of the best things about Marie, one of my fondest memories about her is she lived with her daughter, who had this beautiful pool in their backyard. And I remember one time that Marie, just for kicks, you know, they had a little slide that went, you know, into the pool, and she's 90 and she's climbing up this pool slide ladder, and I think she's just gonna go down on her behind. She went down head first, you know, slid down on her belly head first into the pool at 90. So, you know, it goes to show you can't ever, you know, read a book by its cover. That, you know, if someone's just got that free-spirited, adventurous nature, that doesn't go away with age. And, you know, I thought that was beautiful.
Well, in that vein, Elisa says, I'm okay with aging. So much emotional freedom comes with it. Yes.
Yeah.
Just listen to Betty White anytime. She cusses like a sailor.
Oh, I love her so much.
Dawn Beam says, women become irrelevant at 40. Well, that's the common stereotype. I don't believe it, but yes, you're forced to accept that these days, it seems.
I think that people who treat women like that should be ashamed of that.
Yes.
Because, you know, people don't just deserve to be treated with dignity and respect when you want to have sex with them. You know, people should be respectful of people, even if that's not the case, even if it's like their mom, just because, you know, that's the nice thing to do.
Cheryl White says, elders are not appreciated for our wisdom and experience. Generally, people are not appreciated for the wisdom and experience no matter how old they are.
Oh, God, true.
Yeah.
So true.
If you're old, if you're fat, if you're young, people just don't want to hear it. Don't do that. You'll burn your face off. No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to light my farts. What do you know? You're just a killjoy. Methane is flammable. You will burn yourself. Shut up. What do you know? Then as the sirens approach from the distance, Nancy McQueen says, as you get older, get louder and friendlier. By the time I turn 50, I'll be Brian Blessed at that point.
Oh, that reminds me of what led me into the Marie story. I was saying that I used to volunteer at nursing homes, and I would hear all the time from because some of the women were not there for the nursing home part. They were there for like the residential living part that was adjacent to it, and they were awesome. We would play cards together and stuff, and there were some of them that said that this was like the best time of their lives. Seriously, because they had the opportunity to basically just do whatever, and they didn't have to worry about anybody else's feelings, and they could just kind of, you know, hang out. And because they were hanging out in an environment with a bunch of other people that felt the same way, they were just having a great time.
Yeah.
And it was really refreshing to see that, because I think even in the media we're given these images of the sad, lonely old person that's just fading away and no one comes to visit. And not everybody has that experience. And if we are aware as a society that that sort of thing has happened, we should put things in place, or somebody should provide a service where folks don't have to sit alone like that, and they can have visitors once in a while. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just putting my hand there.
Okay.
But D. Cowden says, 60 here, proud of my age. Good.
Yes.
Nola Elson says, don't you love the commercial about all the older women in underwear in all sizes? Hollywood is coming around, maybe.
Is that a Dove ad?
I can't remember. It does sound familiar. I'm generally not a big fan of seeing people in underwear on television in general. I'd prefer it if they just accepted people full stop.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have kind of radical views on that, though. Like, I think that, you know, people should have the right to not shave their legs if they don't want to,
Right.
you know, and without being judged or people thinking that they smell bad, particularly when they don't smell bad. Like, I shave because I like the sensation, and because I've been conditioned to like the sensation. But I don't think that that should be something I force on anybody else, unless it's something they just really want to do.
Yep. Christine McGraw says, British TV does a much better job of accepting normal-looking middle-aged women. Lots of female killers on Midsummer Murders. That could also be seen as a sort of con for that.
But you know, they do have normal looking people on a lot of their panel shows and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like most of the people who are on QI, pretty average at best. That's reassuring because it makes being normal. That's cool.
Kay Schaffer says, oh boy, oh, but you have such a pretty face. I've heard this from some complete morons throughout my life. I reply, well, at least I have a pretty face, but you will always be a moron. Flex, flex.
Oh, when I was back in my dating period, and this was, you know, obviously back when I was bigger, people would, and okay, so I have cystic acne, and I had it really, really bad when my weight was really out of control and when I was in my 20s. I had terrible, terrible acne. And I remember hearing all kinds of things from the guys I was dating. Like, you know, they would buy me acne kits to like help me clear up my face because they were I mean, it was a sweet gesture, but it's also one of those things where, like, you know, it's like the same as somebody buying you,
fix yourself.
it's like somebody buying you an exercise bike for Christmas if you didn't ask for one, you know.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, thanks.
Aren't you glad you found me?
Oh wow, you're a peach. And so but yeah, I mean, I would hear that. I would hear, you know, you would be such a knockout if you just lost 50 pounds. And the rub is pardon, got excited there. Pardon. Even when I was skinny, because I was big as a kid, big as a teenager, and then I dropped like 90 pounds when my doctor put me on Fen back in the 90s. because that is the pill combination that made people's hearts explode, and I went on it when I was 16. But I digress. I lost about 90 pounds, and when I would date guys, they would tell me, you would look really great if you could just lose the tummy, because I had loose skin at my tummy. So I got down to my lowest weight that I'd ever been, 135 pounds, and I kept buying into the tropes and the advertising that was telling me I just need to work harder, I just need to work harder. And I think I actually gave myself a complex of some kind at the time, because I was compulsively exercising to an extent that was probably not healthy or good for my joints, because I was so desperate to lose that little bit of weight, because I had worked so hard and I'd lost so much weight, and yet I was still plus sized. I was still in a size 12/14.
Yeah, but you're built like an opera singer.
But the thing is, they don't tell you that in these ads. They tell you all you have to do is diet and exercise, and then you will be perfect. You'll be just like these people that society tells you you need to be.
Yeah, they do that to get your money.
But when you're a teenager, you don't know that. You think that that's real. Even if you're cynical about it, you think it's somehow attainable because the messaging's so persistent. And it's a logical conclusion, even if it's wrong, because of how pervasive that messaging is. And so, I definitely fell to that when I was a teenager, and it was a huge source of depression, because I went from being really big and thinking that that was the source of all of my problems, to getting skinny and realizing that those problems were just different, but they were still there. Like when I was big, I was bullied because I was big. When I lost weight, I was bullied because I wasn't small enough and because I had loose skin. And girls that are closer to that norm don't get spared that wrath either, because they get it in a different form, where they're basically harassed for being attractive. And that was something I had not really anticipated. I was skinnier than I am now, and I was younger. But it seems like when I was, a teenager and I looked closer to that norm, it was like I was being inundated with people trying to get a piece of this action, and it was not flattering. It was actually kind of like almost a menacing sensation. Like I felt like I was constantly on display, and that was something I was not anticipating.
Well, even then you can't win, because when you lost the weight recently after your gastric sleeve surgery, the number of people who would leave nasty comments on her videos saying, "You've changed. I don't like you anymore because you're not big anymore."
Yeah, because I owe it to them to look the way that I looked when I was 33 for the rest of my life. I will get right on that. Oh man.
Kelly Stoff says, "Why are men more attractive as they get older and women just old?" I don't know. I liked my hairline when I was younger.
I think I think that it's because we hold each other to these standards to a certain extent. Maybe not us in this room, but as a society, we hold each other to these standards, and we just give men a pass. I do. And I think that we should give women a pass too. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be nice to men. I'm saying we should be
nice to everybody.
Nice to everybody.
Exactly.
You look very perplexed, like I had said something very heinous. I was like, no, please don't misunderstand.
I just.
Was it word soup?
No.
Okay, good.
No. Nothing like that. I just had my attention torn between your words.
Look, my hair is flicking back and forth on the screen. Yeah, every time I would move my head and the hair would go whoosh, he would look down. So I think that it was distracting him. We just watched the replay of his hair flaring out.
On the delay. Yeah. Serene says, "Bold female consultants also not a thing, which is why I get super realistic wigs for work." Annie Foss, "Age is a privilege denied many." Very true.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's why age should be celebrated. It's like, look, you made it.
Well, Silver Street, this is nice, says, "It's hard getting older, but not anymore with all your support."
Oh, yay! Thank you. I'm so glad we were able to brighten up your night.
Kathleen Ryan says, "Definitely wigs have helped me showcase the mood I'm in. It's awesome there is such freedom." And J. Deb, "I do like the red Heather is wearing. Tahitian Sunset."
Yeah.
Make a note of that. Tahitian Sunset. And Serene says, "And I love how when you lose your hair on top, it grows out of your face. Or is that just me?"
No,
Serene, as my hair started moving backwards and thinning back here, I noticed that it was growing in my ears and in my nose a lot more, so that, you know, trimmers.
Sexy.
Yeah, marvelous.
Oh wow! I mean, I've been a lifelong plucker, if it's any consolation, just because PCOS and the joys of that.
Yeah, a lot about that. Let's see.
What else we got?
Tammy says exactly, yes, people's reactions to physical differences in general can be so absurd.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think a lot of the adverse reactions, says Liz, to Sinead O'Connor was that she, whoops, lost it, it jumped down.
Worst moderator ever.
Silence. Oh boy, we've gone. Okay, where are we here?
He lost his place. He got excited.
No, I didn't. This bloody thing. Okay.
Okay, as he is scrolling, I will try to vamp or something. Okay. Honey.
Wow. We've
Yeah,
got.
oh boy.
We're right.
He's
We're well behind.
Well, maybe we should take a moment and pause so that way you can get caught up a little bit, and I'll just try to riff a little.
All right.
I mean, we're not going to be able to talk about every single one of these comments because everybody's talking. Hooray! Oh, that's fantastic. I love the fact that you guys are having conversations with each other about this stuff.
Here we go. Liz says, I think a lot of adverse reaction to Sinead O'Connor was that she had shaved her head.
Well, yeah, I remember that Mad TV actually had an entire sketch about that in hindsight has aged like milk. Because it's basically her going, nothing compares to hair. Yeah. Seriously, that's the whole shtick, is her singing about her lack of hair. Yeah.
Charlotte says, has any wig manufacturer ever surveyed our tribe? Because it seems a lot of us have large circumferences, but all other measurements in the petite range.
I think that, I think that's kind of a complicated question. I think that sometimes people gravitate towards content creators that have similar features to them, including the stuff that fits them well and their build. I think that's part of it, and so there might be a little bit of selection bias going on here in the audience, just because of that factor. But not everybody fits that description, and I think that one of the biggest reasons why a lot of wigs fit the way they do is because they're designed to go over a completely bald head, and the primary people who are buying them traditionally in brick and mortar salons are over the age of 55, and they tend to have a kind of slight build. Now that demographic is changing. It's changing all the time, and you know, parts of the demographic are getting younger. And in fact, even people now, you notice the difference between the kind of hairstyles they sell now and the stuff they used to sell on the Golden Girls, because those were all wigs probably too for the most part. And while they still make wigs like that, they're not like the bulk of what you see on the market. And I think that that's because the demographic, even as they get older, doesn't necessarily want to go the Dorothy Petrillo route. And that's perfectly fine, you know? I'm glad that they still kind of make a little bit of something for everybody. But I hope that as these things shift, and eventually when the manufacturers get a better idea of who the new demographic and who, you know, those people are, even if they're the same age as the existing demographic, you know what I mean? Like, they're not adopting those older styles. So once they catch on to that, I think that they will have a better idea of what kind of things to make for people. I'm rambling again. I'm sorry.
Silver Streak says, everyone treats me very rude when I wear my bar hair. Well, that just sucks of them, doesn't it?
And as we mentioned earlier, I had a similar experience. All right, we might want to scroll down a little bit.
Okay, let's see. Serene says, I do love the prototype hair. Yeah, okay, well, Anya, look for that. All right, let's see.
Scroll down a bit more, so because they're still talking about stuff we were talking about like 20 minutes ago. So.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of a little bit of background about Nigel. He is a toy collector, and he has a habit of being kind of a completist in his collecting. He likes to do everything completely, and he's very thorough and detail-oriented. These are all good things that I'm saying about you for the most part, okay? I'm not trying to be, like, shady. And so...
Do you see me objecting?
No, but you were looking at me Britishly.
That's just my face. This isn't snark, it's just my face.
You're gonna have to keep telling me that forever, though, because you even look like you're drinking snarkily.
Because I'm trying not to laugh while I'm doing
like,
it.
hold on, give them the profile view of this. Wait, turn this way because you'll get it on camera. Okay, now.
I was trying not to laugh, is what it is.
I don't know, it's just something about your nose and your magnificent profile. It looks like you're always inwardly sneering a little bit. I don't know.
Just the way my face is built.
I think it's hot. So, beauty standards, yay.
Serena's got about 15,000 rolling on the floor, sweating, laughing, and crying after looking at me Britishly.
Hey. And I love the fact that he's growing out his hair. I can't do this, so he's like doing it on behalf of Team Hershey Willis. Like it's both of us. And his I love how curly it's getting in the back. Like it makes me think of my old hair because my hair before I lost it was very, very close to this. It was just darker. So it's like, oh, nostalgia. And yes, oh, it's so luxurious. But yeah, I had even more hair before I had weight loss surgery. And so when I first, started to lose my hair, I went into like basically costume wigs, and then I migrated into toppers, and then I migrated into like the nicer wigs. And I thought before I had VGS, after I'd lost a whole bunch of hair, that was as bad as it was gonna get. And then after I had weight loss surgery, it got so profound that I can't even wear toppers anymore. So it can go faster. And with the gastric sleeve, yowza, I don't think I've lost hair that quickly in my whole life, and it didn't come back, which I know probably sounds like a horror story for a lot of people, but I know that I had a pretty decent wig collection at the time. I already had my store. So I was kind of like in the best case scenario territory for that kind of profound thinning. But, and that's something I'm very grateful for. But yeah, weight loss surgery is one of those things where that is another double-edged sword, because a lot of people do that for aesthetic reasons. I did it for, there was that vanity aesthetic component, but for me mostly it was because, I was experiencing a lot of pain below the waist and joint damage, and cardiovascular issues were on the horizon, and diabetes and all that stuff, and I didn't want to go that route. I wanted to stop it while I could. And so, but even if people do it for even if they do it for aesthetic reasons, it's kind of a slap in the face to then have a bunch of extra flappy skin everywhere that no matter how much you work out, you can't get rid of. And that, you might get acne, you might lose a ton of your hair. That's all stuff that I don't think a lot of people who get this surgery are really prepared for. Because just like when I was a teenager and I assumed, hey, when I lose all this weight, every problem is going to be solved. And then, I hit the reality of, no, because I'm not a 16-year-old supermodel. And even those people can't get away from the scrutiny, because even people who have that job, they're constantly scrutinized, and that scrutiny is part of their job. So it's like you can't win for losing sometimes, literally.
Right. Oh, I've got some good questions here. Barbara Waite has a video request. Heather, you've mentioned adjusting makeup for different wig colors. Could you maybe do a tutorial, pretty please?
Sure.
Alrighty.
You'll have to remind me to write that down.
Well, it's right here in the thing here.
Well, that too.
Joan says, you look adorable in every single wig you put on. Wish I had that ability. And Silver Streak says, you look so gorgeous without any hair. Very liberating.
Thank you.
Bella Bellissima Beauty and Artisan Design Shop says, hi HN and everyone. Great to be with you all tonight.
Hello.
Hi, welcome aboard.
I love the name of your shop.
And KP, hi Heather, has the demographic changed for your business with men getting on board for wigs? Kenny.
I would love for more men to get on board. I think I need to find more like shorter styles that might appeal to them. But I don't think our demo has necessarily changed specifically, because our store is kind of purpose built for women who have polycystic ovary syndrome. But I'm trying to figure out, like, which is it? If I build it, they will come. So if I bring those kinds of wigs into the shop, will they come and hang out with us? Or do I just need to wait until enough of them are already here that it justifies bringing on style specifically for them? So I'm kind of playing that by ear, and it's mainly based on what people tell me and their feedback. Because if it is a if you build it, they will come scenario, obviously they won't be shopping with me yet, but maybe they'd want to. So I'm kind of keeping, my eyes and ears open to that.
Right, let's see what we got here. Right. Donna says, I cut my hair, quit dyeing it, and found wigs. I wish I'd found sooner.
It is liberating, isn't it?
Shaz says, I lost a lot of weight. It was like a deflated balloon, so put on some. Lol.
Yeah, that's another funny thing. You mentioned earlier that people were commenting about like how when I lost weight, they were like, "You changed."
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is like I rebounded by about 10 pounds, and everybody was like, oh, well, not everybody, but there were a few people who were like, "What did you do? What did you have done?" I'm like, carbs. That's the secret. Was carbs, and it went right here. Because, I did have a little bit of filler put in at one point, but that was over a year ago. It's almost entirely dissolved, and it was all, like, under my eye. And where the carbs went, right here, making their guest appearance.
Hey, that sounds good. Right, I got a bunch of stuff here that's good to catch up on.
All right.
Let's see. Lisa S. says, I thank God I didn't grow up in the days of social media and that I'm the mom of boys. It's tough out there for girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It's not a picnic for boys either, but the girls definitely have a lot more ridiculous, arbitrary standards to stick to. With guys, it's basically you have to like sports and not be a nerd. That's about it. Well, failed that.
I don't know. I think nerds are thriving now in the internet age.
Now, but not when I was a kid.
Yeah, but we're talking about now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that you would have been in the golden age of nerddom if you came of age, about 10, 15 years ago.
Holly Chapman says, you do stunning makeup every single time.
Thank you.
Myri says that color is beautiful on you, Heather. Yeah, that's Tahitian Sunset, so look for that one if you like it.
Oh wait, it's not on the site yet. This is coming around March, and this, as I mentioned at the beginning of the live stream, is too big on me. It's kind of a prototype, but the version that's coming out will fit a little bit better, won't be as big in the back and on top. So
don't we have something in Tahitian Sunset on the site already?
We have no, not at the moment. I don't think.
Oh, okay.
No, and that would be the heat-friendly version anyway.
Okay,
Yeah.
right, gotcha.
Sorry, I had to think about that.
That's all right.
But we were making stuff. That's why I had to run through it in my head because we've got a lot of different pots on the stove. You know what I mean? And so sometimes I get them jumbled up because my brain just goes because I'm sleep deprived and everything kind of jumbles together. That's why I live in the land of spreadsheets.
Nancy says, your store isn't just for polycystic ovary syndrome folks. You have the most innovative styles and colors out there in the wig community. I agree.
Thank you.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm married to her.
I love you guys. What else we got?
Okay, let's see. We're right here.
Oh, Marty's agreeing with carbs. But carbs are insidious because I have a sleeve, right? And so, they keep telling me, eat protein, eat protein. Protein can be hard, particularly...
And expensive.
Well, animal-based proteins for me are still kind of a struggle. And yet, they're a pretty big chunk of my diet. I do try to replace them with vegetarian options and things like eggs because I used to be, a really long time ago, I used to be an ovo-lacto vegetarian. For 12 years. So I actually really like a lot of the vegetarian options out there, including vegetarian cheese substitutes and stuff. It's just, unfortunately, my protein needs and my sensitivity to some carbohydrates is so off the charts because of biology that it's hard for me to get enough protein in without resorting to eating meat once in a while. And I did try for a long time because I struggled with that. In fact, I didn't even start eating beef again, I don't think, until 2015, I want to say.
Yeah.
It's been...
Wasn't until we hooked up again.
No, yeah. So, 16, 17, it was... I don't know when exactly, but it was not that long ago. Wait, it's 2021. It was a long
6
time
years
ago. Oh my God.
Where does the time go, eh?
I'm like, it wasn't that long ago. It was just yesterday. When it was, in fact, the way back. The long, long ago.
LS says, hey, Nigel, how about a Nigel does mixology tutorial? Some of your cocktails sound scrumptious. Thank you.
We've actually talked about that.
Yes, we have. We have.
And I told him because of the amount of prep work involved or something like that and the staging, the week we decide to do that, we'll just do it. We'll do it like for like a special occasion. We'll let you guys know in advance, but we won't give you an option that week. We'll just do that because you know, if he needs to do that, he might have to prep for it like a day in advance and kind of play
Two
around.
votes. 2 votes.
Yay!
For that. Kay Schaffer says, I love nerds. They make the world go round.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Serene says, yeah, my kids are in their late teens and they had pressure in their early teens to be sporty, especially when we lived in Ohio. Oh my lord. Former Ohio resident here. Basically,
Same.
yeah, if you weren't into sports, you were ostracized.
No,
And
yeah, I grew up and he grew up very close to Maslin.
And if anyone knows
Right.
about the Massillon Tigers, oh my lord. We went to a party at a friend's house. They were preparing to move. But there was an old lady there at that party who would just sit in a corner and talk about nothing but the Massillon Tigers high school football team. And if anyone tried to change the topic, she'd bring it right back to the Massillon Tigers high school football team.
I wonder if maybe in hindsight, maybe she was autistic and that was a special interest.
Dunno.
Yeah? Because sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I have a similar story because when I used to volunteer in nursing homes, there was a lady, and I will never forget this. Her name was Wilma, and she was, we go back to this word feisty. She was really, really feisty, and I would visit her on a weekly basis. And I don't know how many McKinley Bulldogs sweatshirts she had, but I swear I never saw her in the same one twice. And I visited her for like a year and a half. And that's impressive, the dedication she had. Her entire wardrobe was McKinley Bulldogs. And the thing is, like, in a weird way, I think that that's beautiful. That when somebody is that passionate about it, something, and when they're that proud of something, like maybe, you know, and at this point, it's been so long, I can't really remember talking about it, though I'm sure we had conversations about it. It's just, I was really young. I was like 11 or so. But, you know, maybe she had like a kid that went there, or she, you know, I know that maybe she might have been like in the first class or something there. So she was just very proud of it, and it was part of who she was, and it was cool that she was eager to display that to people openly without thinking twice about it. That's cool.
Yeah, but it's kind of a double standard, because if you do it for sports, you're an okay guy. You're a good drinking buddy. If you're doing it about the aliens in Jabba the Hutt's court, or the intricacies of the Klingon language, which I don't know that much about, but it's just one of those special interest topics that tends to get sneered at a lot.
Or are they just British?
Or the etymological derivations of interesting words and phrases and all that sort of thing, or dinosaurs, or anything even remotely academic, you get, ugh, shut up. Silver Streak says, sleep deprivation a constant companion. Yep.
Yep.
Let's see.
When you said sports, can you guess at all about what immediately started playing in my head?
Sports. That one?
The one from Tim and Eric?
The Tim and Eric Awesome Show. Sports.
Sports.
Liz says, definitely the most interesting. The big guys are just treading water right now. You are keeping it fresh.
Yay! Thank you.
Let's see.
Wow. I love how everybody's talking. Yay!
Let's see. What are we here?
Oh, just we're gonna wanted to know, do you put these live streams up on the channel afterwards? I'd love to stick around, but I do have to study. Hey, you do what you gotta do. And these will absolutely be on the channel. You just have to look for the live streams. And I think that on the front page of the channel, it should be towards the top.
Yeah, you can find all these live streams that once we're done with them, they go into a bit of limbo for a while YouTube processes the live
The
comments,
chat, yeah,
the live chat, and then it all shows up, and you can watch the whole thing with the chat going by in real time.
Yeah, I think the replay is actually active about as soon as the live stream ends, but the chat actually takes a while, and the quality of the video on the live play won't be good until about an hour or so. So if you do come back to it, just kind of give it a little bit of time. Maybe come back to it tomorrow afternoon, drink some coffee.
Tomorrow would be the best time. That should
Yeah.
everything should be working by then. Let's see.
Oh, Cheryl.
Oop.
I saw Cheryl said something about protein, and about how she had to eat protein.
There we go.
Okay.
It helped me to eat organic grass-raised beef and pasture-raised chicken.
Same. I've noticed that the more organic stuff's actually easier for me to eat, and that I don't eat a lot of it. The quantities I eat are really small. They're about 4 ounces at a go before I finally get sick of chewing stuff, because I can't drink and eat at the same time. And I can't exactly douse everything in sauces, because that kind of defeats the purpose. So chewing, meh.
Liz says, I haven't eaten meat of any kind for over 40 years. Yeah,
Wow.
You know what I'm looking forward to, Liz? I am looking forward to lab-grown meat that is not $50,000 a mouthful.
Yeah, I will say that the fake chicken nuggets and it's not the Impossible Whopper. What's the one that Dunkin' Donuts have, where they have
The sausage muffin.
Whatever that vegetarian sausage patty is, it is delightful.
It is. It's lovely
I
and
get it every
sagey.
time, and I don't even get the bread with it. I'm just like, give me this vegetarian patty with cheese. No.
And they also did like a southwestern vegetable patty. I had
Oh.
that. I saw advertised. I thought, I'm trying that.
Yeah.
That was very nice.
Oh, I love the vegetarian options, and I think that is something that's worth doing for most people. It's good for your health, and it's a nice thing to, even if you don't want to go full-on vegetarian, to replace some of your meals throughout the week with vegetarian options. I think that's a really nice eco-friendly thing to do. Just
Well,
personally.
one of my favorite substitutions back in Britain. I haven't really. I think it's available here in the USA, but I haven't seen it much. It's called Quorn.
Well, they've got that here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Fresh Market.
Oh, cool. Well, anywhere else that isn't like hoity-toity.
No, it's a pretty hoity-toity thing around
Right.
these
Okay.
parts.
Well, you can get it in any supermarket in Britain, and they do all kinds of different textured mycoprotein from mushrooms, and the minced version they do, like the quote-unquote ground beef or ground lamb. That is really good.
Yeah.
And they do decent chicken as well, and the bacon ain't so good.
All right, I'm gonna go
Beyond.
Beyond. Yes, that's really, really good. The Beyond sausage.
Field Roast has ersatz beef and sausage. Okay. Well, we've got a few downstairs of like vegetarian sausage patties and stuff.
Yeah, and
like
I've got that
It's quite nice.
harissa tofu.
Oh yes,
that's quite nice. But and I wanna give him an opportunity to kind of don't read comprehensively, because we've already been going for a moment, and I wanted to ask.
Oh, Stacy
one more
eats
question.
corn all the time.
Oh yay! See?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All corn is GMO in the U.S. I'd believe that, Cheryl.
You don't have to consume dairy products to be a vegetarian. Yeah, I can't consume dairy at all. I mean, I'm from a dairy county, famous dairy county in Britain, and I can't have dairy anymore because about 10 years ago I started to become allergic to it, but I found a lot of great substitutions. Violife has the most amazing mozzarella substitute. Smell, taste, texture, everything. Perfect mozzarella substitute if you want to go completely vegan pizza. But the thing is, it just doesn't melt the same as real mozzarella. That's the only strike against it. But Violife mozzarella, beautiful. Rona, what about Wigs, y'all? No, we're not doing Wigs, really. We're just doing beauty. Start off as
Well, maybe
beauty
she wants
standards.
to know about this. I mean, we haven't really talked much about the actual topic of discussion. We've gone on like 50 bajillion tangents. This is what happens when we riff it.
Yeah.
We're like, we've got so much to say. And then we take it off topic completely. I think we've mentioned Klingons and serial killers and vegetarian cuisine.
Serene says, are you able to tolerate nuts, Heather? Well, she married me, didn't she?
Yeah, no, I can handle nuts. He can't have them, but I eat them pretty regularly. Did you see yourself in the monitor?
I saw myself on the camera
That's
there, yeah.
hilarious. So I wanted to ask you guys one more beauty standard related question before we end this live stream. And you can answer this like one of two ways or both ways, whatever floats your boat, or, you know, maybe one person will answer, be the answer for this, both sides of this question. But if you had to name your ideal standard of beauty, like if it's a girl crush or you know, even if it's a guy or just a human being, period, who is that person? Who is your standard of beauty? And then separate question, just in case it's a different different person. Who has the ideal hair, in your opinion? Tying it all back to wigs. Like, if you could have anybody on the planet's hair, and without it being creepy, like, whose hair would you want?
Okay.
Am I saying this weird? I'm
No,
saying
no,
this weird.
no, I
Okay.
think so.
See, this is what happens when
Just
you
wigging
give
it
me the
says
tour.
Tilda Swinton. Liz says Vivian Lee.
Ooh,
Silver
yes.
Streak says Peter Lorre. Yeah, I think that was more my impression.
That's
Rather than a standard of beauty. Don't get me wrong. He's a hell of a funny guy. I've heard great jokes about him, but he's not going to be like my go-to, you know, guy crush.
and I've heard he's a very impressive person.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, you probably heard that from me because I regaled you for about half an hour on how much I like Peter Lorre.
I think Christopher Lee's really impressive.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Who else?
Ruby Rose says Rona Griffin.
Oh, she's beautiful.
Farrah Fawcett says Wendy James.
You know what? All these people are beautiful.
Kay Schaffer says, oh, sorry, that moved. Lanny S says Nicole Kidman's wig in The Undoing. Kay Schaffer just saw Peter Lorre in The Creature with 5 Fingers. Hair, Kat Stewart. Australian actress, notable shows Offspring in 5 Bedrooms. Helen Mirren.
Helen
says
Mirren
Cheryl.
doesn't age at all. She's so beautiful. Like, she's just classically beautiful.
Donna says Cher. Veronica Lake for Cynthia Cook.
You know what? That's a good callback. I was literally talking to people about LA Confidential, the movie, yesterday, and I was like, Kim Basinger looks very pretty. I don't know which, you know, fits that film noir look better, her or Veronica Lake. They do a very good job in both cases.
Shaz says Elizabeth Taylor.
Of course, Liz.
Kathleen Ryan says Doris Day. Silver Streak says my long hair from my mom and dad.
Ooh.
Nancy McQueen, standard beauty is something when interesting inside to their head. My dad had alopecia and was totally bald. He was really sexy.
That's awesome. And you know
Patrick Stewart.
what? I remember distinctly when I was a little kid, my grandma used to love to watch The Commish because she thought that the guy who played the Commish was super hot. She had such a crush on the guy who played the Commish, and he
Dennis
was
Franz?
no, I forget what his name was, but he was a bald guy, a little bit, you know, a little bit extra to hold on to. He was very sturdily built, we'll put it that way, and she just thought he was super hot. She watched that every week.
Mine phone says Sandra Bullock always has great hair.
Yeah, she does.
J. Deb, I want to grow up to be Helen Mirren, beautiful older women. Tina Rojas says I like Khloe Kardashian and Jennifer Lopez.
You know what? They do style themselves and their hair impeccably.
They
Both
do.
of them. Oh my
They
goodness.
do, yes. Let's see. Liz says hair, French actress Audrey Fleurot.
Oh, I'll have to look her up.
Elisa says Emma Stone.
She's gorgeous too. She has those big eyes. Oh man.
Barbara Waite says Selma Hayek.
Oh my gosh, Salma Hayek is legit girl crush territory. She is an impressive person. She seems like a really great person, and she's just like flawless.
Serene says my ideals change and it's mostly dependent on the personality or character they play.
Yeah.
Currently Katrina Bife from Outlander for both.
We're gonna have to look that up.
Gal Gadot.
Oh yeah, totally. She's beautiful.
Where did that go? Gal Gadot.
And-
Gal Gadot.
And, you know, we could basically say Linda Carter for sure in that vein as well.
Oh, Linda Carter, definitely. Linda Carter and Jennifer Connelly in the 90s.
Yeah. Yep, agreed.
Let's see. Rita Hayworth says Silver Streak.
Jackie O, for sure. Sean Connery. He was beautiful. And I actually, when I was a little kid, I used to think that Clark Gable was so handsome. Seriously.
Patrick Stewart. He could eat crackers in my bed any day. Bring me some saltines. I really like the saltines.
Michael Chiklis.
That's the guy's name. Yeah, my grandma was super hotsy-totsy for that guy.
Oh, Wendy James says, I'm a natural redhead and I still love Anne Margaret. Anne Margaret!
For
she,
sure.
She was a hot tomato, yeah, definitely.
She aged
She
impeccably.
did.
Oh.
When she was in that, what was it, that American Pie sequel, I was like, did they get a time machine and just bring her back from the 60s or something?
And I want to go back to Cher. I agree. Cher now. Cher forever. Cher for life. Forever. Like, I love watching Cher movies. I don't know why she always plays such strong characters that I'm just really drawn to the movies that she's been in. So I love her and the big permed hair from the 80s. That is life. And I think that somebody else, like, because I want to challenge, you know, us a little bit to think outside of the normal beauty box a little bit too. And somebody else that I want to bring up is Kathy Bates. You know, she is a wonderful actress and she cleans up beautifully. Same.
Oh, we watched Dick Tracy the other night, and the pretty young stenographer in the interrogation system, in the interrogation scene with Dustin Hoffman, that was Kathy Bates. I'm like, that was Kathy Bates?
Yeah, no, she's phenomenal and she's super impressive. And I also really like Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah in Chicago, when she's singing that song about Mama, and she's doing all that shimmying and shaking, she is freaking phenomenally pretty.
Who was that guest judge that was on RuPaul last night? I can't remember.
Oh, I don't know. She's somebody who is, I believe she's in Broadway or something. I'm not sure. But she was hilarious, and she was bigger, and she was also delicious.
Very pretty.
Lizzo, I think, carries herself phenomenally well. I've always thought she was really pretty.
Bella Bellissima says, I love chocolate-covered strawberry. Hope you make it in a brown on a thinner density lob appropriate for dress code. Other brands have no options for cool purple-based reds and brunettes that aren't too dark or extreme.
We're working on it. It's a little bit at a time, yeah.
There you go, Bella Bellissima. We're working on it. So true on Selma, says Myri.
She's basically flawless.
Let's see. Nancy missed that one. Jumped down too quickly. Right here. Okay.
Paul Newman. I see Paul Newman.
Paul Newman.
Oh, yes. And that is another person that aged phenomenally well and was just a wonderful person on top of it and made amazing salad dressings.
Hedy Lamarr, beautiful and brilliant too.
Absolutely,
Yes.
for sure.
Thank you for the internet.
Yeah, she also reminds me a lot of, Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi, that was her. But she also reminds me of Vivian Lee. They've got very similar aesthetics.
Clark Gable for Silver Street.
Same, forever.
Laverne Cox.
She is lovely too.
What's that?
Oh, she is a transgender actress that works on Orange is the New Black.
Oh, that one, yes.
When I went to
I don't watch that film, so.
It's a show.
So it didn't instantly occur to me.
But no, when I was at UGA, Laverne Cox actually came in to speak.
Oh, neat.
And it was so riveting. The woman has the most amazing oratorical skills. I mean, we were all just quiet. You could hear a pin drop listening to her talk about her life. It was a pretty phenomenal experience.
Connie Britton.
Agreed, for sure. And that's another person from American Horror Story. So yeah.
Oh, okay, right, gotcha.
I think she was also on Nashville because my mom was really into that show.
Yeah, for a beautiful man, Brandon Lee.
Oh, definitely.
I once took a young lady to go see Enter the Dragon with Brandon Lee, and after the film she just basically drooled over him, and didn't go out with another date on it. No, okay.
Brandon Lee was in The Crow.
No, Brandon Lee played Bruce Lee.
Oh.
With something Enter the Dragon was the Bruce Lee film. It was something about the dragon. It's Dragon the Bruce Lee Story. That's it. Brandon Lee was in Dragon the Bruce Lee Story. Took a young lady to see that, and she basically gushed all over Brandon Lee after that film.
They're both phenomenally impressive people who look so graceful and their hands move so quickly. It's phenomenal.
Sophia Loren.
Of course, definitely.
I had an action figure that was based on her look at one point. Yeah, Evil Lynn.
Oh, people are talking about Queen Latifah and Lizzo. Absolutely, I completely agree, and I'm so encouraged. You know, like I know that people feel like this has to be a dichotomy. Like, you know, if you endorse, you know, diverse models who don't look conventionally attractive, people just go, hey, like, she's not healthy, you shouldn't be supporting that. Well, okay, being like underweight to the point where you're collapsing and not eating and stuff and your hair falls out, like a lot of anorexic models happen, which are not all models, by the way. I'm not trying to make that statement either. But I mean, let's just say it's impossible to tell how healthy somebody is based on their weight in all cases. And you know, I think that a lot of that, and we were talking about this earlier in preparation for this live stream, I think, you know, we've both been different sizes, we've both been bigger, we've both been smaller. And I think that a lot of beauty, yeah, as cliche as it sounds, comes from within. It comes in how you make other people feel when they're around you. It comes from, you know, your behavior and how you carry yourself. But that last component, how you carry yourself, to me, is a huge, huge part of this, because you can basically get away with anything with your looks if you carry it right. And that includes being large, you know, or having, you know, physical disabilities or scars and stuff. It's all in, I mean, there are always going to be people who are like pointing it out like jerks and saying, "Nah, nah, nah," but they're just jerks.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
Anything else going on in here?
Long live Cher.
For sure.
Jerry Scott says Jacqueline Smith.
Oh, yes. And she's another person that has aged absolutely beautifully.
Liz Christina Hendricks.
We were just mentioning her earlier, too. I was like, even, it doesn't matter to me if you're talking about Jones or Saffron. She is just flawless either way.
Elisa says Kamala Harris.
I think that she is a very impressive human being as well. And when she speaks, she's another one of those examples of people that just immediately commands your attention. You're like, oh, you sit up a little straighter. You're like, okay, what do you got to say? That's a skill right there.
Oh, Rona Griffin says she has to go. Bye, Rona.
Bye, Rona.
Serene says, I almost forgot my all-time favorite, Catherine Zeta-Jones.
You know what? That is awesome, because I completely agree. I think that perhaps the prettiest person that I've ever seen in film is Catherine Zeta-Jones in The Mask of Zorro. The first time I ever saw her on screen, I was like, how is it possible for someone to be that pretty? Like, I was like, what planet did you arrive from? Because people aren't supposed to be this pretty. And to find out that she can sing and tap dance and all this other stuff.
Well, the first thing I saw her in was a British series based on a series of books called The Darling Buds of May.
That's a very English-sounding show name.
Well, it's based on an English poem.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was very impressive in that. Donna says John Travolta.
He is pretty, and he was super, like, aesthetically beautiful, like almost like a marble statue, but with like 70s styling. And Welcome Back, Cotter, for sure.
Silver Streak and Kathleen Ryan are both talking about Paul Newman.
He's, yeah, all
and
time.
Nancy.
All time, flawless.
Johnny Depp ain't bad, says Donna. Agree. I like him.
Yeah, Johnny Depp is. He's somebody that, you know, it's like I have almost like a conflicted relationship with this person that I've never met, because I'm like, which media accounts about you are true?
Yeah, because, I mean, you hear all the horrible things, and then you see him dressed up as a pirate, ministering to small children and baby bats in hospitals, not in the same hospital,
Yeah.
in, you know, different hospitals.
And then I always want to leave room for, maybe he's decided, if that was true and he was bad, maybe he's deciding to be better. And I don't want to penalize people for choosing to be better. We just feel like we need to hold people accountable for choosing to be bad so that they want to be better. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think it should be a life sentence.
No. Donna's a big fan of Maya Angelou.
Oh, yeah. Oh, she, again, have you ever heard her talk, Maya Angelou? Like any of her recordings?
Yes. Just mellifluous.
Oh, my goodness.
Mellifluous.
Another one of those people that just commands a room. It's like she's got that spiritual energy that when she starts talking, you're like, oh. It's like you immediately plug into it, and she grabs your attention immediately, even if she's talking very, very quietly.
Magnetic.
It is. It's very charismatic.
Mary H. says beautiful man Jensen Ackles. I'm afraid I don't know.
No, we'll have to look that up. Diana Rigg, agreed.
Lauren German, contemporary styling, don't know.
We're going to have to look some of these people up. I'm
Halle
curious now.
Berry. Oh, yes.
Definitely.
Completely Halle Berry, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer for sure too. I mean, and he's had an interesting life as well. Like I think I remember listening to him give an interview about how he had like a really serious health problem and he kind of walked away, and that, you know, he could have come back and done movies and been like really big, and he just chose not to. And I think that's an interesting story and an interesting choice.
Jerry Scott said Lizzo and I went to the same high school.
That's so cool.
Well, hang on, we didn't. That was McKinley. You went to Perry, I went to Jackson. McKinley High School was where Macy Gray and Brian Warner, aka
Marilyn
Manson, went.
What a claim to
Apparently,
fame.
no one has a bad thing to say about Marilyn Manson. I kind of like that.
I've heard that too, because like we grew up. Well, I grew up. He's a little bit older than me, but I grew up and went through high school well after he had already gone on and done his music career. But you know, I grew up. I was only like 5-6 years behind, so the people I was hanging out with and, you know, playing D&D with and stuff like that, like all those people, like they had stories about people that had either met him or that had actually like hung out with him in high school, and every single one of them had something nice to say. And you'll hear anywhere you go, if the town's big enough, you'll actually like run into people who have stories about somebody famous from that area that they ran into. And in Athens, it's Michael Stipe all day long. Everybody in town has a Michael Stipe story, and it's like he's some kind of magical creature that appears and gives people wishes the way they talk about him.
Oh, speaking of magical creatures appearing out of nowhere, I saw this great clip on YouTube. There was someone talking about, there's a news piece or something like that, and all of a sudden George Lucas just walks by, looks into the camera, and walks off into a building. Fantastic. Oh, so we got Vanessa Kirby has a lovely, unique face, says Just Wiggin.
Agreed.
Let's see, that's some more support for Catherine Zeta-Jones. Okay, just a minute, working on it. Oh, bugger.
Lupita Nyong'o.
Lupita!
She's so beautiful.
I do like Lupita.
And same thing with like people like Iman, who also still looks stunning.
Dear Lord, flawless.
Oh my goodness.
Her and Grace Jones.
Grace Jones! Yes!
Perfect skin, perfect, flawless, not a single
Chiseled
pore.
features, just
Not a single pore.
just amazing. And I kind of love the fact that Grace Jones used to scare people. And that she wasn't afraid to scare people. And that she was just like, look at all of my flawless angles. And she's just, I love that. That's so impressive. It's like, she's like, I know who I am. It's time for you to learn now. Boom.
I really liked her in the Conan the Destroyer movie. She was great fun in that.
Oh man, that's such a guy movie.
The Winchester brothers are hot.
I will have to look them up.
I think it's a TV series about supernatural stuff. I can't remember what it's called.
Bowie is the Goblin King forever, yes. Forever. Yeah. Oh gosh, anything Bowie.
Charlie Hunnam, I don't know who that is. Bowie and Iman.
Absolutely.
Like never. Channing Tatum.
He is amazing.
Hugh Jackman. I've not heard anyone say a bad thing about Hugh Jackman either. One of my online acquaintances from the MST3K Capper days said she went to go see Hugh Jackman live, and he was just sparkling and friendly and just a marvelous person.
Holy moly, Jerry, you went to a really famous high school.
Beyonce?
And Beyonce is another example of somebody, when I first saw her on the scene when she was in Destiny's Child, I was like, how is it possible for someone to be this pretty? And I also distinctly remember, by the way, my first obvious taste of product placement from a celebrity endorser, because this was before all the social media and smartphones and stuff. Yeah. And this was probably 1999, I want to say. And MTV was interviewing Destiny's Child in their limousine going to a concert, and Beyonce was just inconspicuously eating Doritos with the label turned out, and then she was like, I love to eat Doritos before a concert. This is my favorite food. And everyone just started laughing because it was super funny, like when people eat salad hilariously. And I was like, that doesn't look natural at all. But I also like Doritos, so I will give you a pass, babe.
Donna says, talking music, Adele. Yes, she's pretty at any size.
Yeah, no, she's one of those people that has that face and the voice and the way she holds herself. Yes.
John has come in with Michael Stipe's totally on the bar next to our old office, just saying, yeah, that restaurant that he owns, completely vegetarian, vegan,
great.
That's got some good stuff.
It's really good.
Let's see here.
Except we haven't been able to go there in over a year.
I know. Lauren Bacall was amazing for life.
Absolutely.
Heath Ledger.
Oh.
I first saw him in 10 Things I Hate About You, that modern remake of The Taming of the Shrew.
And he was hot in that. I mean, here's the magic and the hotness of Heath Ledger, okay? They made a movie about him as a medieval knight. When he's Australian, he had like a surfer boy haircut, and the music soundtrack was Queen, and it still worked. Everything about that movie worked, and it was awesome. And I don't think it would have gone over that well if it weren't for the fact that it had Heath Ledger as the lead, and he's just got that raw charisma on screen where you're like, okay, I believe this. This is really rad now.
Harrison Ford.
Yes.
Oh, Regina. I got to tell you, Heather and I have watched this interesting channel called Tribal People React, where they send foreign food to Pakistan for people who live out in the country to try for the first time. And there's this one guy called Rafiq Chowdhury. He looks exactly, everyone comments how he looks exactly like a Pakistani version of Harrison Ford with a beard. It's great. He's such a nice guy too. They're all nice people at that channel. They're great. You should check them out.
Oh, Jessica Lange in Tootsie was luminous. She is luminous now too. Like she's magnificent. Like I've seen some real clunker storylines on American Horror Story, another callback, and she's still amazing. I love any scene with her and like any of the other power hitters that they put on that series. You know, like Connie Britton and who else have we mentioned so far that's been on that show? We also mentioned Kathy Bates and basically anybody else. Angela Bassett. Whenever she's in a scene with Angela Bassett, so good.
Let's see. Katharine Hepburn, strong character.
She's wonderful. I also really love like Betty Davis. I think Betty Davis always had a knack for choosing intriguing roles, and Greta Garbo for that reason. She picked some very subversive roles in her time, like Queen Christina before the Hays Code. That's pretty saucy. She's openly gay back in the like 30s. That's pretty saucy. Or might have been the 20s.
Stacy says Matt Damon.
Agreed.
Shelley Daniel Craig.
Agreed.
Beyonce's mom and aunt made my wedding dress and made other formals for my family, says Jerry Scott. Wow. That's impressive.
Oh, and they're talking about tribal people.
Try bottled water. Yes.
Yeah, we like that and the, what's the other one called?
Stroopwafels.
No, the other channel.
Reactistan.
Reactistan, yeah.
Yeah, got some fun stuff on there. Ian Somerhalder.
I don't know who he is, but he has a cool name.
Yes.
I know that Heather, the other Heather, my name twin, that she's really keen on Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
I think he's got that voice that does it. It's like, it's hypnotic when he starts talking. You're like, oh, you just became a billion times hotter. Like you would know nothing about that.
Like I would know nothing about that.
Gloria Swanson. Oh,
Gloria
I
Swanson, yes.
love Laurence Olivier.
Merle
Yes.
Oberon. Merle Oberon. Yes.
Yes.
Laurence Olivier.
And Rose McGowan. Yes, all of the Charm sisters were beautiful. Every single one of them.
You know who I think really bloomed? Was Fairuza Balk.
I don't know if I've seen her after The Craft.
Well, first time I saw her, she was 10 years old in
Oh.
Return to Oz. And then I saw her in The Craft, and I'm like, whoa, that's Fairuza Balk?
And she plays
Wow.
a great crazy person.
Yes, she does.
She's scary in that movie. She does a great job.
She played a Catwoman in the Island of Dr. Moreau. One of the remakes. I think that's the one with...
Marlon Brando.
That's good.
Yeah.
I have a problem remembering names. I can remember voices, I can picture them perfectly, but if I have to recall a name on the spot, it suddenly leaves my brain.
Well, I think that's probably it. Are we caught up now?
Ian Somerhalder. Who are your crushes, Nigel and Heather?
Oh.
Well, I think I already mentioned Linda Carter and Jennifer Connelly in the 1990s.
Yeah, and when I was younger, I was very into Clark Gable, for sure, when I was younger. I also had a very, I mean, and I'm talking like before I hit puberty. I was like, he's really cute. And then I also thought that Prince was very intriguing because, you know, it was right around the 80s. I was like, wow, he dances really nice. And I like purple too. Like, children have interesting thoughts about these things. And then I noticed as I got older, everybody else was like really into like New Kids on the Block and stuff. I'm like, not so much, not my thing. But I was really into Queen, and I had a really big crush on Brian May from Queen when I was, you know, like tween aged. And then as a teenager, I think that progressed towards maybe like, I don't know, I was really into grunge, so probably like Kurt Cobain types, that sort of thing. Tori Amos was kind of a girl crush for a while. I definitely grew up in the 90s. And as an adult, I tend to gravitate towards anybody that's like nerdy and British and has a low voice. I have a type.
I'm glad you do.
Angela Lansbury was hot as a young woman.
For sure. Absolutely.
Chris Hemsworth and Rachel Weisz.
They must have like a Hemsworth factory somewhere where they print out perfect specimens of blonde people.
You got a 3D printer.
Cary
Cary Grant.
Grant. Exactly. Right up my alley right there.
That was the one who was originally called Archibald Leach from Bristol, wasn't he?
He changed his name intelligently, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. And Rachel Weisz, yeah. Isn't she, who's her mom? She's got a famous mom who was in, like, Romancing the Stone. Is that her mom?
I can't remember.
She's got a famous mom. I know that. Who is also beautiful.
Tyrone
Tyrone
Power
Power.
when he was young.
Absolutely. All right.
Well, thank you, Silver Streak. I'm glad you think so.
Yes, thank you for joining us. I think we're going to
indeed.
wrap this up. This has been a lot of fun.
Yes, it has.
Just rambling and talking about, you know, what we think of beauty standards, who we consider beautiful. We might do this again sometime down the line. And I do promise that other live streams will have more wig-related content in them. We're just trying to mix it up here and there. And sometimes it's nice to do things that give us an opportunity to talk about how the wigs fit into other subjects and not just make it focused on the wigs themselves. I think that's a really cool thing too, because wigs are part of life. And sometimes they're my whole life, not even gonna front.
Yep.
But it is nice to see those in motion and see that they can be used in ways that make people happy and feel more like themselves and more expressive. And I love being a part of that process for you guys and helping you express yourselves in that way, because that is beautiful, really.
All right. Well, thank you again for dropping by and spending some time with us. It's been an absolute hoot. And
Cheers to them.
Cheers.
Cheers. Turvis
Cheers.
tumblers don't clink well, but good night, everybody, and thank you for joining us.
yes, indeed. Later.